Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be giving away our entire Google Ads strategy for e-commerce businesses with a goal of ROAS. Structure is everything. It's not the sexiest thing, but it is so important. So we're going to be giving away what we run and how we run it. We'll start from the bottom of the funnel with branded search. There are two reasons that we run branded search. The first and most important, probably 90% of the reason that we run it, is because it is an incredible foundation of data. When you have that data pouring into the Google Ads algorithm of who is purchasing, who is searching you out, who is interacting with you, those people are so important, and all of your other products, including your non-brand search, your DSA, your shopping, your YouTube, your discovery, all of these other campaign types will run more efficiently if you have that base. The second reason is not as important. It's probably 10% of the reason that we recommend running brand campaigns, and that is just real estate and making sure that your competitors are not bidding on your terms. So when you are searching on a mobile device and the couple of ads pop up, sometimes if those ads have enough ad extensions on them, you have to scroll one or two full scrolls before you get to the actual organic listings. And that's a lot of work to ask somebody to do if there's another option above that seems quite relevant. So it depends on how serious your users are as they're seeking you out. Again, probably 10% of the reason, but still something that we do recommend. Let's get into how we run what we run on branded search. So we typically set up exact match and also modified broad, which is now becoming phrase. And those two things have a little bit of a different purpose. First of all, on the exact match, we understand what our costs are if somebody's exactly searching us, but we often find that our costs are lower on these broader match types. So the only important thing there to keep in mind is that you do need to be checking your search terms. And there will be some things coming through there that are completely not relevant. But once you get your negative keyword list updated, we find that the best results for most of our clients come in on those broader match types. The next part of our structure, I'm going to combine two things, and that is DSA, which is dynamic search ads, and shopping. And we always run smart shopping. These two things are two of the most automated types of campaigns that you can set up. For smart shopping, you do have to set up Merchant Center with your catalog, but that is very easily integrated with Shopify. And so there's almost zero setup. You just have to get access to Merchant Center, and then you can set it up very automated in Google Ads Manager. DSA, same type of deal. We run through the actual URL of the website. So as you're going through and setting things up, you basically just have to add in the website URL, and then it pulls in all of the types of keywords that might be those kind of long-tailed keywords that are a little bit outside of your current structure. It's meant to just be a catch-all of highly relevant searches that you might want to show up for. Both of these campaign types are mixing brand and non-brand. So do not think that these are super high performing campaign types that are running non-brand traffic. No, it's not really like that. On Smart Shopping, it's awesome to have the additional ad unit, and also you're getting that real estate again at the top of those search results, which if you're not there, your competitors probably are, so you want to try to show up there for your particular product searches. On DSA, again, it's just a catch-all of searches that if you don't already have those keywords set up in your current campaign structure, Google will actually crawl your website, and for any searches that look highly relevant based on your website, they'll go ahead and add those in. And both of these campaigns work like a charm. They are high converting, high ROAS campaigns. They're not always so scalable. We find that sometimes they are, so it's always good to go ahead and push those things, but those are the next two campaigns that we set up. And again, those campaigns do help us build more and more data. Not as potent of data as the brand search campaigns, but it is still pretty potent data that we're building so that we can put some of these higher top of funnel campaigns in the mix to help the whole system regenerate more and more, and so we can keep growing it as an entire program. Okay, we've made it to non-brand search. This is the bane of existence for many advertisers, and I first want to talk about the way that we think about non-brand search. Comparing it to a Facebook ads world, we have cold traffic and warm traffic, and we find that most advertisers understand that cold traffic is not going to perform like their warm campaigns, and that cold traffic or prospecting campaigns, that doesn't need to perform on its own, that it is seen in the full mix. But we find that this is a little bit different with advertisers on Google, and they don't seem to see non-brand as part of the full mix. They see it as a standalone product sometimes, and it should not be seen as that. It is part of the general mix. So yes, somebody's searching, so it seems like that they're quite far down in the actual buying process and that you should be able to convert those people. But you've got to understand that if somebody's searching something on non-brand and they are searching in Google for something that's not super specific, they are comparison shopping. They probably have 10 tabs open. So the chances of you actually converting that user right in that moment actually aren't that strong. And so we see non-brand as a cold traffic play on Google that should fit within the overall mix. The way that we set up non-brand campaigns is very tight, and I will talk about what this means. So even though we know that Google is always recommending add keywords, we have not found that this is the best way to go with most of our clients' budgets. And we play with budgets usually around $15,000 to $50,000 per month on Google currently for our clients. So we're not dealing with these $250,000 a month budgets right now, and this does affect the way that we build our strategies. So what do I mean by tight? We pick a core group of ad groups, usually 4 to 5 ad groups to start, and then we add 4 to 5 keywords max for each of those ad groups. We typically start on a little bit broader match types. We don't always start with exact match. Exact match is usually very expensive, and for a lot of our clients, the competition does not allow them to play there. However, once you get down to the phrase match, which was modified broad before, we loved modified broad, to be honest, but now that that's becoming the phrase match, the most important thing is to be looking at your search terms and going crazy on adding in search terms for a negative keyword list. So once we set up these very tight-knit ad groups, it is very important that your keywords match your headlines of your ad copy. And this is very detailed. For example, we have a client that has false eyelashes, and the difference between glue and adhesive for putting on these lashes is a big difference. And to understand that whenever somebody searches lash glue, they need to see a headline in an ad copy that says lash glue, not lash adhesive. So obviously you can run campaigns like that. You can run lash glue to lash adhesive, but it's not going to be the tightest setup. So how do we do this? Because obviously there's so many variations of keywords for any of our clients, much less if they have, or much more so if they have a ton of products. And we pick the products or the areas of the business that are going to be the most bang for our buck, they're gonna give us the biggest bang for our buck, that we know that we want to drive that awareness is going to trickle down into our other campaigns and maybe even into our retargeting plays on other platforms. Those are the areas that we start with. Starting like this is really, really effective when you have those baseline products of branded search, DSA, and smart shopping, and then you have a really tight-knit non-brand structure. You're able to start gradually building things, so then you can go to the next level on non-brand search, which would be to expand into other areas. And oftentimes when you have those kind of broader match types, you're able to see those search terms and you start getting into the head of the user. In the last example that I gave, we never thought about lash glue. We always called it lash adhesive, and then we found that in the actual search terms. This is another example for one of our clients. They have an acronym for their name, and to be honest with you, we didn't even ever know what their acronym stood for. And in the end, we saw in the search terms, it was actually nowhere on their site, but in the search terms, people were searching for the full spelled out version of their brand. So we added that into our brand campaigns and immediately saw a lift. So my point point here is that don't be afraid to start with a really niche, tight version of non-brand. You will be able to expand from there. You do not have to go all out. You do not have to think about all the keywords that could possibly be out there for your non-brand campaigns. No, it is so much better to start super tight, and then you can start expanding from there once the overall system starts growing from having those kind of further up in the funnel plays on non-brand. Let's talk bidding on non-brand search. We almost always go with a maximize conversions in the beginning. We want to see, first of all, how much volume we can get through, but also making sure that we're spending efficiently. If you go with target CPA, you most likely will see a much higher ROAS, but at almost zero volume, sometimes zero volume. So if you can run target CPA, that's best case from a ROAS perspective, but if you're not getting the volume that you would like, maximize conversions, which is typically where we start. The one thing I will say is that maximize conversions typically does need some data in the account in order to work. So if you're not getting what you need on maximize conversions and you're seeing that your impression share is quite low, then you can flip on over to manual CPC and test where that CPC is that's going to kind of let that traffic come through for those particular keywords. It will not spend as efficiently from a ROAS perspective as automated bidding will, but you'll understand the levers way better on that side of things than you will on the automated bidding side. So there's pros and cons of both, but typically we start in the middle on maximize conversions. We've come to one of my favorite parts, which is YouTube. YouTube is a fascinating channel. It's the second largest search engine in the world. It's all video, it's self-generating, and it is actually what Mark Zuckerberg has named his biggest competitor. So this is fascinating, and we love for our clients to be on YouTube. We've noticed that even with very small budgets on YouTube, and we're talking $15 to $20 a day, the overall system of our clients' Google ads work better. So that is very fascinating. If you can mix in YouTube to the play now, even if you're very low budgets, you're going to be gaining that data on YouTube. Yes, supposedly Google Ads data mixes on all of their platforms, but we found specifically that running on YouTube for 2 to 3 months really helps the overall performance. There are a world of ways that you can set up YouTube campaigns, and a lot of things depend, but the most basic setup that we use is actually custom intent audiences based on keywords, and we add in the top non-brand and brand keywords into these audiences, and then we're setting the bidding method to target CPA. Sometimes this is difficult to get to spend. Probably it won't spend in the beginning whenever you put that target CPA goal. Aim for double whatever you're seeing on your search campaigns, non-brand search, just to get started. It will get better, but we usually start with about double, and then sometimes we have to creep it up even further, and we're understanding where that lever is where we can start getting traffic. Once you kind of control your costs and you feel pretty comfortable with what's happening on YouTube and that you see that the overall system is still working well, even if it's not driving the conversions that you would like, but the overall system is profitable, you can start expanding to maximize conversions. And sometimes we see that we actually get a better cost on maximize conversions, but once there's actually been some data in the account. Otherwise, you can blow some budget. Again, your targeting is quite targeted, right? Non-brand and brand keywords are actually working for you, so you're not gonna, be out in left field. You're going to be showing your ads to a relevant user base. But again, if you're really cost conscious, then that's kind of how we do things. We start with target CPA, creep it up, and then we ultimately move into maximize conversions. So that's the most basic setup. We have many other setups on YouTube. YouTube is kind of new from the aspect of a lot of advertisers seeing it as an actual standalone channel that they can use in their advertising. Before it was more of just a super high top of funnel branding play. So we're constantly testing on YouTube, but that's the basic blocks of how we set up our YouTube campaigns for now. Last but not least, let's talk about discovery and display. I'm not a huge fan of either one of these products, to be honest with you, within our spend bracket. And again, we're spending between $15,000 to $50,000 a month for our clients on Google Ads. And I find that YouTube is definitely in between the non-brand search and the discovery and display campaigns as far as the way that it performs, typically from an e-commerce ROAS perspective, and just the way that it's so scalable. I'm not going to move into discovery until I've already moved into YouTube effectively. Now, discovery campaigns, admittedly from Google, sometimes have a really good jump start, and then they kind of die off from there, so you can get some low-hanging fruit on them, but again, they kind of die off from there from a performance perspective. It is a great play to expand from everything that's working to grow your overall system. So if you're ready to do that from a budget perspective, I would say if you're spending over $80,000 a month on Google, 100% get discovery in there. And in those cases, we start with pretty small budgets in the beginning, similar to YouTube. We have highly targeted audiences, and then we slowly expand it from there as our clients are ready. Talking about display is one of the broadest types of campaigns that you can possibly run. We're not a huge fan. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is just that it doesn't perform very well. The second thing, though, is that it's very hard to control the creative. Even if you're running something like Smart Display, you have to add in a ton of different options, and then there's been many times that our clients have been quite unhappy with the way that they've seen the ads out in the wild, because Google is actually choosing in real time what they're putting where, and sometimes it looks really funky. So for those reasons, we typically steer clear of display, unless again you just have massive budgets and you are on a complete branding play. Yes, be there, why not show up? But if you're not, there are so many other products, as formerly mentioned in this long video now, about how to set up a nice structure for performance. Unless you're just running smart display on retargeting campaigns that are pretty low to the funnel, like add to cart 7-day audiences or something, we don't find huge value compared to something like putting those dollars in YouTube spend. Okay guys, so that's it. That's our full structure. We do need to talk about creatives. We're not going to talk about that today. Creative and ad copy is super important on Google, and we will get you guys that information. But this is the actual structure, the actual setups, all the settings, all the match types, all of those things. If you have additional questions, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. Bye.